Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Chaska High School as we have a girls lacrosse matchup tonight. The Bloomington Kennedy Eagles visiting the Chaska Hawks. Let's listen in for the starting lineups.
Starting in midfield, sophomore number 7, co-captain Caisson Carlson. Starting as an attacker, senior number 9, Sophia Nelson. Starting in midfield, junior number 11, co-captain Susan Munson. Starting as an attacker, sophomore number 13, Madison Turlick. Starting on defense, senior
And we are just about ready to play high school girls lacrosse. Again, tonight we have Bloomington Kennedy visiting the Chaska Hawks, a Metro West Conference battle. Coming into the game, Chaska is 7-2 with a 2-2 record in the Metro West. Kennedy going through some struggles this season, just a 1-7 record overall, 1-2 in the Metro West. But important to point out that only win that Kennedy has this season was their last game, as they picked up a road win at St. Louis Park. Look, an exciting one, 15-14, the final score. Meanwhile, for Chaska, they've really been playing good lacrosse lately. After a slow 1-2 start, they have now won 6 straight games. And in all 6 of those games, they have scored at least 10 goals. So the Hawks have certainly gotten the offense going over the past few weeks, and they'll look to continue that winning streak here tonight against Bloomington Kennedy. Important game for Chaska, as they are still in the race for possibly getting a home game in Section 2. Section 2, unfortunately for the Hawks, is one of the toughest in the entire state of Minnesota, as you have a lot of good teams out in that section. So it'll be challenging for them to try to move up in the standings, but if they can end this season on a long winning streak, should position them well for the playoffs, and that'll start tonight here with this matchup against Bloomington Kennedy. Ready to take the opening faceoff, Susan Munson for Bloomington Kennedy, as she'll be facing off against Kennedy Sanders of Chaska. As you've heard me say a couple of times on these broadcasts, she is a standout basketball player and was part of the Hawks State Championship girls basketball team, and she most certainly excels at lacrosse. She's not the only girls basketball player on the lacrosse team. They, of course, also have Kaylee Van Epps, who is a key cog on that team. Now it looks like we're about ready to go, as we are underway from Chaska High School, as the opening face-off will be won by Chaska. They'll lose possession, and somehow gathering it up are the Hawks. They'll take a shot on goal, and it'll be saved by the 8th grade goaltender, Lorena Carter. A lot of youth on this Kennedy squad. As I look through their roster, they have probably about 25 players, at least listed on the roster. Only 2 of them are seniors. At least they listed on the roster, because originally their goaltender, Lorena Carter, was not listed, so just speculation, but wondering if perhaps she's filling in for tonight. Meanwhile, back to the action. Bloomington Kennedy has the ball. That's Juicy Lakoski with it. And now the ball will be on the far side of the field, where it'll be Chaska on a rush. They'll get it ahead to Sanders. Sanders evades a Bloomington Kennedy defender, takes a shot, and it'll go just wide of the goal. So good opportunity for the Hawks early on. And I don't think they're, will be picked up by Chaska right in front. Kind of a low change-up style shot. It'll be a goal. And it looks like getting credit for the goal is going to be Jenna Davis. So Davis with that first goal, coming at the 23:43 mark of the first half for the Hawks. Last game I broadcast was the Hawks' 21-7 win over Mound Westonka, and Jenna Davis had a big game in that contest too. I believe she had 7 goals in that game. And there's the face-off, still jockeying for position are both teams. It'll eventually be picked up by Sanders of Chaska. Sanders works her way around a couple of Bloomington Kennedy defenders. Have to be careful about saying Kennedy Sanders' names, being that her first name is, well, the same name of the school they're playing tonight. There's Chaska with it behind the goal. There's Josie Lakoski surveying the scene, figuring out where to go. She'll dump it for a teammate. He'll take a shot, and we'll get a whistle down on the play. And it looks like that will be against The Hawks, so break there for Kennedy as now they're able to get something going here as they'll work it towards midfield. Digging for it was Caisson Carlson. She'll give it up now to Hout Cooper. Hout Cooper through the middle of the field. Pushes the ball up ahead to Munson. Munson ran into a wall of Chaska defenders. Now she'll have to back up and regroup. Munson, a junior mid for Bloomington Kennedy, one of their more experienced players. They are a very young team with lots of 8th, 9th, and 10th graders, and you would think for a team like Bloomington Kennedy that would help them in the future if they can keep all those players in the program. Munson now slowing things down for the Eagles. There's not a whole lot of room being given to her by Chaska, and looked like a nice defensive play there by Isabel Hoban, but I think they are going to whistle that down for an infraction against the Hawks, so it'll be the Eagles getting a chance. Here's Munson, pulls the trigger, shoots, and scores. So Kennedy right back in this game, tying it up at 1, taking advantage of that infraction. Let's see if we have time to get you a replay of that goal. Unfortunately, don't have it. We'll try to get one here for future goals. So 1-1 now our score with 21:30 to go in the first half. First goal scored by Chaska's Jenna Davis at the 23:43 mark, and this goal comes at 21:30 from Munson and the Eagles. Incidentally, both goals scored by players wearing the jersey number 11 off the face-off. Trying to fight for it is Caisson Carlson. She'll at least battle for it enough so a teammate can pick it up. That's Munson. She's been a force so far for Kennedy. Her pass looks like it's going to be intercepted by the Hawks, and now Chaska trying to get something going the other way. Sanders leading the rush, taking advantage of that speed. Finds an opening up ahead to Aiden Howley. Howley will stop, and it looks like the referee will blow it dead. Here with 20:55 to go in the first half. Will be an infraction against Kennedy, so Aiden Howley, the sophomore attacker, will get a shot here for Chaska. She'll take a shot, and it'll be deflected wide by Lorena Carter. Good play by Carter. Not to overreact to that shot. Just doing a good job staying in position. That ball will be bounced wide of the net, and it will be Chaska with possession. They'll play it out in front, and there is a goal from Josie Lacrosse. So the Hawks score at 20:13, and they'll retake a 2-1 lead. Lacrosse, a sophomore player for this Kennedy squad. And they'll get ready for that face-off. Caisson Carlson taking it this time for the Eagles. Meanwhile, that was Kennedy Sanders for Chaska, and it looks like they will award possession to the Eagles. Here's Carlson trying to work her way around Sanders. Tripped up momentarily by Lacrosse, who just had the Chaska goal. Carlson having to maneuver around a couple of Chaska defenders, and looks like the Hawks maybe a little too aggressive there defensively, so Kennedy will get a chance to reset things. Carlson with it, surveying the field. It's Kaylee Van Epps defending her. Now here's Susan Munson. Yeah, it looks like Munson and Carlson are going to primarily be the offensive threats for Bloomington Kennedy, so those will be two players the Hawks will have to try to contain throughout the evening, as Munson will retreat behind the Chaska net. Megan Jurley making the start in goal for Chaska tonight, junior goalkeeper. Munson flung that ball wide, tried to slide it over to Hout Cooper, and the Eagles still able to maintain possession. Nifty little play there to keep the offensive attack alive. When you look at these Bloomington Kennedy scores, they've had some close games despite that 1-7 record, as they'll take a shot out in front and they'll score. Able to go low and beat Jurley, and I think that's going to be Munson who's going to pick up the goal for Bloomington Kennedy. So credit the Eagles coming in probably as underdogs tonight, that they're giving Chaska a good battle here through the first few minutes of this game. Let's go ahead and take a replay of that goal and show you how that happened, and how the Eagles were able to tie this game up. And you'll see them working behind the net, and just a sneaky little sidearm shot going low on Jurley, able to beat her. And again, Kennedy playing well here, tying this game at 2. Yeah, you'll see Munson kind of almost a change-up style of shot, but it worked, and we got ourselves a 2-2 game, so a good one thus far here at Chaska High School. Hawks did call a timeout, as head coach Lauren Koloski trying to regather her troops, see if they can come out and retake that lead. We'll go ahead and take a break as well. You're watching Chaska Girls Lacrosse here on CHPN. And we're back at Chaska High School off of the timeout taken by the Hawks. In fact, they're still in their huddle right now trying to go through some strategy. Meanwhile, Kennedy's rearing and ready to go right now, as they have to be happy with their start, having this game tied up at 2 against a very talented Chaska Hawks squad. And the Hawks are on a 6-game winning streak. Kennedy just with a record of 1-7, but before the Eagles scored their goal, was going to tell you about some of the recent success the Eagles have had. They started the season with 5 straight blowouts, where they lost 5 straight games by 10 goals or more, but they've been playing some good lacrosse here in the month of May. As I mentioned, they beat St. Louis Park on Tuesday by a score of 15-14. That would be last Tuesday. Then prior to that, they had 2 close losses. Southwest Christian by a score of 12-9, then Holy Angels by a score of only 11-10. So they are going in the right direction this season despite that record. Well, it looks like we're ready to play. It looks like we had some sort of repair that was needed on the field, but they got that taken care of, and we are back and underway. Hawks come away with possession. Here's Kennedy Sanders with a burst of speed. Sanders just forces her way to the goal and scores. Kennedy Sanders said, well, enough of this. Did it all herself, and she puts the Hawks up by a score of 3-2. Let's take a look at it again. Sanders just a little too fast for the Bloomington Kennedy defenders, and she takes advantage of that speed, gets it past the goaltender, and the Hawks back on top by a score of 3-2. And we'll get a penalty against Chaska, so that'll allow Kennedy to get possession of it. Here's Sarah Kosmicius. She'll pass it over to Sophia Nelson. Nelson, one of the two seniors on this Eagles squad. She'll survey the scene from behind the Chaska net. Still looking for somewhere to go with it. Not easy to try to score on this Hawks team with a lot of good defenders like Isabella Hoban, Kaylee Van Epps, and others. It is tough sledding when you get near that Chaska net. Ball is free near about the 35-yard line if we're going by the football field dimensions. Now the Hawks will send it up forward. A little too far on that for the pass that was intended for Jenna Davis. Now Eagles with a chance to try to pick it up. Fighting for it and getting it is Willa Frost Trahan. Trahan lost it. Now it'll be picked up by Aiden Howley. Howley spins, runs into a couple of Kennedy defenders, and I think with that physical contact, they'll call a penalty, and it looks like she'll get a chance to try to extend the Hawks' lead. No, I lied. Actually, the foul is going to be against Chaska, so Kennedy will gain possession of it. Loose ball will be picked up by the Hawks to Aiden Howley. Howley sends it to the far side, being harassed by Susan Munson. Sanders with it. She'll work her way near the goal line, now back behind the net. Sanders to Sydney Jose. Jose takes a shot. Looked like she had a pretty good angle at it, but just flung a little bit wide, so Eagles will have another chance at it. Sanders behind the net. Sanders spins, and now we'll get a whistle from the officials. So Lorena Carter going to be tested here, the Kennedy goaltender, as Sanders is going to get a free run at the net. Sanders with a nice little move there, but unfortunately for her, she sent that shot wide of the goal. Hawks were the nearest to the ball as it went out of bounds, so they'll remain on offense. Holly takes a shot. It was denied by Lorena Carter, the 8th grade goalie for Kennedy, who's had herself a good game, and we are going to get a yellow card on that play. And it will allow Bloomington Kennedy to try to work the ball out of their own defensive zone. I think we have an error with the clock as the officials want to wish we had one of those mics that they have in the NFL for the officials so I could catch what she was saying right there. I know there was something wrong with the clock, but there was something else I think she was talking about with the card that was issued. Nonetheless, we'll play on now with Bloomington Kennedy. They momentarily got it across midfield. Now it'll be taken over by Chaska. Ever since that timeout, the Hawks have really dominated the time of possession game. Now for the Hawks, it's Sarah Jose. Jose to the front of the net. She'll be met by Marissa Ortiz. A good job to force her wide. Now the Eagles will regroup. Here's Reagan Pluth. Send it over to her teammate Peyton Wirtz. Wirtz to Jose. Jose to the front of the net. Denied by a couple of Kennedy defenders. She'll take another shot. Eagles, despite all this pressure, are doing a good job containing this Chaska offense. And it looks like we will get an infraction against Chaska. So now here comes Bloomington Kennedy, Marissa Ortiz along the near side. Able to push aside Reagan Pluth. No call there, and I think the referee is going to keep the ball in the possession of the Bloomington Kennedy Eagles, as you can hear their fans and their bench very happy with their effort. And now here comes Hout Cooper. Hout Cooper being guarded by Sydney Hardy. She'll dump it off to Carlson. Carlson from the far side, and before she can do anything with it, we'll get another whistle from the officials. Hawks looking to get something going in transition. To the middle they go, to the front of the net now, and it will be picked up by Lorena Carter. Eagles have had some trouble at times getting the ball out of their own zone. As you are seeing the Chaska doing a good job not giving the Eagles a lot of room trying to clear it. Now it will be picked up by Reagan Pluth. She'll work it towards the front and score and give the Chaska Hawks a 4-2 lead. Just some relentless pressure put on by Chaska helps them out as Pluth will get that goal and put Chaska up by a score of 4-2. That comes at 12:01. See if we have time to get you another look at that goal before we head back to live action. And I'll see right after of that turnover, get Pluth kind of that basketball style to dribble it, then able to fire it home. Good play by her. Back to live action now. Off of the draw, possession will be picked up by the Eagles. Heidi Campos leading the rush for the Eagles. Actually, check that. It's Susan Munson. Munson looking for somewhere to go with it. Nearly lost it to Isabella Hoban. She'll spin and take a wild shot, which will sail wide of the net. Eagles were closest to it, so they'll maintain possession. Konzamias will have possession behind. Good find out in front of the net. as Heidi Campos had a good look at that net, but unfortunately her shot whistled wide of the net. Eagles still with possession. Here's Sophia Nelson. Nelson underhanded pass to Konzamias. She'll play catch with it with Caisson Carlson. Carlson looking for a teammate, but again, as I've talked about, there's a lot of tough defenders down there for Chaska. They don't give you a lot of room to operate. Munson will survey the scene. Deliberate pace now for the Eagles. Probably not a bad strategy considering all the pressure the Hawks were putting on them just a few moments ago. Give themselves a chance to maybe rest some of their players a little bit here as they'll hang on to possession of the ball. Just slapped out of the hands with some force. That was Isabel Hoban saying, thinking she had seen enough as she'll cause that turnover. Unable to be scooped up by the Hawks, and that'll allow Kennedy to get the ball back. We are getting some light rain falling right now. We've had some sprinkles throughout the day, and now we are getting a little light rain right now. I can even see a little bit of my computer screen getting a little wet right now, so shouldn't have too big an impact on the game, though, as it conditions still look fairly playable. Fired up ahead. A long pass by Lacrosse, and it'll go a little bit wide, and I'm assuming it should be, will be Chaska ball. Nope, it will be Kennedy. I thought Ortiz was the closest one to it. No, Ortiz has it for the Eagles. She's being bothered by Jenna Davis. Davis will get some help from Lacrosse. Now a long pass goes over the head of Willa Frost Trahan. Trahan able to pick it up. She'll send one across the field. Loose ball is going to be picked up by Hout Cooper. Ava Lorenz putting pressure on for the Eagles. Now dished over to Caisson Carlson. Eagles find some room up ahead on that near side. This is Sophia Nelson. Nelson, senior attacker, will retreat behind the net as she's pressured by Isabel Hoban. Isabella Hoban had a nice game defensively for the Hawks rather. Nelson gonna slow things down for Kennedy. Looking at the upcoming schedule for Chaska Hawks, their next game is going to be this Thursday, as they'll be on the road at Chanhassen for what could be a interesting game weather-wise, as I know there are some rain showers in the forecast on Thursday, so that could make for a muddy day out at Chanhassen High School when the Hawks play the Storm coming up on Thursday. Ball turned over. Here comes Chaska going the other way. Good find up ahead to Aiden Howley. And a good defensive play on that back check, if you will, by Stephanie Carrillo. Just a freshman there to break up that pass. Hawks keep possession. Here's Reagan Pluth. Had the fourth goal for Chaska. Now it's Ella Long. Long to the front, had a open Jenna Davis, but unfortunately Davis wasn't able to receive that pass cleanly. Otherwise it looked like she had a pretty clear... Oh, and what a pass, and a big save by Lorena Carter. And there's a goal by Chaska, putting on all sorts of pressure. Lorena Carter, the goaltender for Kennedy, did a nice job keeping it out on a few of those shots, but just one too many, and Hawks are able to get one past her, and they now take a 5-2 lead. Let's see if we can take a look at that again before we head to commercial, or head back to live action rather. See that initial shot from Ella Lorenz. Then it was cleaned up by Jenna Davis. So Davis gets credit for the goal. And it looks like we are going to get a timeout on the field from Bloomington Kennedy. So again, with 6:51 to go in the first half, it is the Chaska Hawks on top of Bloomington Kennedy by a score of 5-2. We'll take a break and come back with more of the first half here on CHBN. And we're back at Chaska High School off of the Bloomington Kennedy timeout. Hawks lead the Eagles by a score of 5-2. After that goal scored just a moment ago by Jenna Davis. After the Hawks put on all sorts of pressure, Ella Lorenz had the initial shot, but then Davis was able to clean things up, and that's where we stand right now with a 5-2 lead for the Hawks. Kennedy now in the offensive zone. Here's Caisson Carlson. Carlson being pressured by Sanders. Lost her stick, and that's going to allow Lacrosse to pick it up for the Hawks. Lacrosse showing off some good speed. Pass up ahead, nearly connected. And this is Aiden Howley. Howley, the side now out front. Good find in front, and it'll be scored by Peyton Wirtz. Howley to Wirtz on a beautiful looking goal for Chaska as they'll extend their lead now to 6-2. That goal comes at 6:05. Such a good play. Let's show you that again. Yeah, you'll just see Peyton Wirtz sneak out in front of the net, showing off some good awareness there and not allowing any Eagles player to pick her up. Not a whole lot Lorena Carter could do right there, so good creative offense by the Hawks, and they're now up 6-2. Here comes Kennedy trying to get something going here in the waning minutes of the first half. Here's Susan Munson with it. Munson to Carlson. Those two have been the primary offensive forces for the Eagles so far tonight. Caisson Carlson, good spin moves, takes a shot trying to go in that upper corner, but unfortunately for her, she zipped it wide. Eagles were the nearest to the ball, so they'll keep possession of it. Here's Munson. at the side. She'll be met by Sydney Hardy, among others. And a good save by Megan Jurley. Haven't called her name a whole lot tonight, but that was a big save she just made right there for the Hawks. The Hawks working with it on the far side, and that ball is going to roll out of bounds with just under 5 minutes to go in the first half. Rain starting to come down a little bit harder right now. Fortunately, no thunder or lightning in the area. As long as we don't get any thunder or lightning, this game will be allowed to continue. And hopefully it stays that way, because those weather delays can be lengthy at the high school level. I believe the rule is that you can't resume play until a half hour after the last lightning strike, so hopefully we don't get to that point. Meanwhile, here's the Eagles with it. Here's Lacrosse. Lacrosse evades a Kennedy defender and bounces a shot just wide. Good creative play by Lacrosse, just unfortunately wasn't able to get it on net. Hawks with it behind their own net. There's the goal scorer, Peyton Wirtz, from a few moments ago. And she'll pass it over to Lacrosse. Now to the far side they go. And the Hawks being very patient with their offense. Here's Aiden Howley taking a shot through traffic. He's able to work around a Bloomington Kennedy defender that was guarding her closely, but too much skill there, and it is 7-2 in favor of the Chaska Hawks. Let's take a look at that again. Actually, that's the 6th goal, so it was such a good goal, decided to show you that one again. So we'll send it back to live action now. Again, 7-2 our score. Loose ball off the face-off, picked up by Caisson Carlson. Gets sandwiched by a couple of Chaska players, and that will be an infraction against the Hawks. There's Carlson. Looking for somewhere to go with it, but again, Chaska doing a good job closing off passing lanes as Carlson pleading with her teammates to try to create an opening, but none being given by the Hawks. Munson through some traffic takes a shot, and that'll be blocked by Jurley, who makes another save. So back-to-back good saves by the junior goalie for Chaska. 2-minute mark, and now Chaska will get possession of the ball as they'll try to get something going here in the final couple of minutes. Up ahead to Eva Lorentz. Lorentz bounces a shot wide. That was Ella Lorentz, by the way. There's 2 of them on the roster. Ava is number 4 and Ella is number 5. Here's Marissa Ortiz, who's done yeoman's work defensively for Bloomington Kennedy. And now the play will be whistled down with 1:29 to go in the first half. Chaska well on their way towards getting double-digit goals. They've now done that in 6 straight contests. So they, like I mentioned at the start of the broadcast, the offense has certainly come through for Chaska over the past few weeks. There's a battle for the ball. It'll be Picked up by Munoz. Munoz sends it back to Carlson. Haven't seen Carlson a whole lot, at least this far back on defense. And she'll come back to at least help her teammates. Now she'll have possession of it. She's being bothered by a couple of Chaska players, including Josie Lacrosse. Possession awarded to Chaska. Here's Lacrosse. Sends it out in front to Peyton Wirtz, who takes a shot and scores. Second time we've seen that, with Wirtz finding a way to get open right in front of the net. Just take a look at that again. Just a good find by Lacrosse. Wirtz is a tough player to defend, taking that height advantage, and she's able to score and now give Chaska an 8-2 lead. Less than a minute to go. Chaska looking for more before we wrap up the first half. Here's Kennedy Sanders leading the rush. And before Sanders can do anything with it, we'll get a whistle on the play. Sanders, a very explosive player. Earlier in the half, we saw her basically take one herself and score a goal. This time she'll zip a shot wide of the net. Chaska still keeps possession with 30 seconds. Now to the front of the net, ball loose. Who can scoop it up first? It goes to Susan Munson of the Eagles. She's being bothered by a couple of Chaska defenders, Holly and Lacrosse, putting that pressure on. And there'll be a whistle against Chaska, so it looks like Munson will get it for the Eagles. We'll see if she and her teammates can draw anything up in the final 21 seconds of the first half. Along the near side, loses it. And another whistle. This time it'll be Chaska Hawks ball. Here's Lacrosse. Very dangerous on some of these passes. Effective weapon offensively. Oh, she found Ella Long open in front of the net. Lacrosse's been very dangerous passing the ball. Almost kind of like a point guard in basketball. Well, that'll be halftime now with our score. Chaska 8, Bloomington Kennedy 2. We'll take about a 10 or 15 minute break and come on back for the second half. Again, you're watching Chaska Girls Lacrosse on CHB. And we're back from rainy Chaska High School for the second half of Chaska Hawks girls lacrosse as they're taking on Bloomington Kennedy this evening. Eagles lead 8-2 as we're about ready to start the second half. Light rain showers passing through the area right now. Not really a heavy downpour or much wind, but still enough to affect the elements at least a little bit. Here's Chaska immediately getting things going here in the second half. Low shot from Sydney Jose gets denied by Lorena Carter. Carter still with the ball, looking for somewhere to go as she's being pestered by Wirtz. Wirtz just giving her no room to operate. Got to be careful she doesn't lose it. Now, unfortunately, she will lose it, lead to an open net and a goal from Peyton Wirtz. Well, hold the phone here. I think the referee is going to wave this off. Instead, it looks like Wirtz is going to get a free run at the net. Wirtz already with 2 goals in the first half, looking for number 3 to start the second. And it'll be blocked by Carter. Good position by her. Not giving Wirtz much to shoot at. I believe her shot got blocked, or her clearing attempt got blocked by Peyton Wirtz and deflected into the goal, so that'll be Wirtz with a rather unconventional goal. She'll take it, though, as it'll put Chaska up 9-2. A tough break there for the Kennedy goaltender, Lorena Carter, as I pointed out, just an 8th grader, so one of the more inexperienced players on the field. She's made some good blocks tonight, but had trouble clearing the ball in that instance. Off the face-off, it'll be Ella Long. Long ahead to Lacrosse. Lacrosse with some speed. Will eventually run out of real estate. Now a find in the front of the net. Ella Long fired a shot wide. Hawks will keep possession of it. Here's Sydney Jose. Jose with the spin move. Wasn't quite able to pull the trigger, I think, when she wanted to, and that allowed the Eagles to make that block. Here's Lacrosse. Passes it over to Sydney Jose. Jose to Sanders. Sanders being pressured by Munoz. Works around her. And she'll fling her shot over the net. Hawks still keep possession on as they really been putting on all sorts of pressure to start this second half through the first 2 minutes. Sanders looked for Ella Long in front. That pass got deflected. Here's Sanders getting it back. Sanders will take a trip around the net now. In front, she finds Lacrosse, who fires a shot and scores. And that'll give the Chaska Hawks now a 10-2 lead. So you could kind of feel that one coming right there with all the pressure the Hawks were putting on. Let's take a look at it one more time. Sanders with a beautiful pass to Lacrosse. Able to go towards that far side post, and it's now 10-2 Bloomington, or 10-2 Chaska over Bloomington Kennedy. Also able to avoid the stick of Willa Frost Trahan, who tried to break it up, so good strength being shown as well. Back to live action. Here's the Eagles looking for their first offense of the second half. It'll be Susan Munson. leading the charge, as so often we've seen tonight for the Kennedy Eagles. A lot of their offense runs through her. And juggling with it is Kazamias, and she'll work her way towards the front. Kazamias, before she can do anything with it, will get a foul on the play. And it looks like it will be whistled against Isabella Hoban. So big opportunity for Kazamias, just a junior. See if she can cash in. This will be a good test for the Chaska goalie, Megan Jurley, who hasn't seen a ton of action over the past half hour or so. And Jurley up to the task as she makes the save, and now the Hawks go with it the other way. Pass deflected off the stick of a Chaska player. Now a number of players dig for it. Ortiz came away with it momentarily, then lost it. Actually checked that it was Latasha Carter. First time we've called Carter's name tonight. She's just a freshman, so she'll have a chance to be in this Kennedy program for the next few years. Here's Caisson Carlson, one of the other offensive threats for the Eagles. And before she's able to get that over to Kazamias, we'll get a whistle on the play. So opportunity here for Caisson Carlson. And it looked like a couple of Chaska players were able to break that up, including Kennedy Sanders. So Carlson not able to get that shot on net. Eagles will keep possession, though. Carlson with it behind the net. Tried to center it in front. Actually, she was able to get it to Maya Ortiz. Ortiz trying to battle her way through a couple of Chaska defenders. She'll lose it. Now the Hawks go with it the other way. This is Kaylee Van Epps. Van Epps up ahead. Try to get it to Lacrosse, and oof, nasty collision there. Looks like it may have hit the lip of the Bloomington Kennedy player. Unfortunately, I don't have a name for her, as we don't have a number 14 on the roster, but looks like she's all right. I think they are going to get Lacrosse on that one. So after all that, the Eagles will have possession of the ball. Here is Carlson. Carlson across the 20, now to the 15, if we go by football terminology. Carlson will slow things down as we approach the 20-minute mark of the second half. Chaska leading the Kennedy Eagles 10-2. Carlson being pressured by Kennedy Sanders, also being helped out by Van Epps. And Latasha Carter somehow able to keep the ball with the Eagles, as they'll throw it back to Carlson. Carlson just walking with the ball as she'll now move behind the Chaska goal. Kazamias with it. Kazamias tried to center it. I think went over her intended target. There to battle for it was Madison Perlick. And before anything can happen with that sequence, it looks like we will get an infraction against Chaska. Carlson looking at her options, trying to figure out where to go. Tries to spin, but nothing doing there around Sanders and Van Epps. Now Van Epps putting on all sorts of pressure on Carlson. Carlson from the near side tries to spin, and Sanders did enough there to break up that opportunity. 17:45 to go, and Hawks attempt a long pass. They're able to find Ava Lorentz. Here's Lorentz with some space. Got it up ahead to Howley, who lost it. Now a loose ball on the ground. Who wants it first? It'll be picked up by the Eagles. Across midfield, that bounce pass misses its intended target. That will allow Chaska to gain possession. Back and forth we go. Here is Ella Long. Long finds a teammate, Peyton Wirtz, near the center. Now out in front, and Sydney Jose able to sneak a low shot past Kennedy goaltender Lorena Carter, and it's now 11-2 Chaska. Hawks take advantage of their speed, where it seems like every time Chaska's able to work in open space, it's usually problems for the opposition. We had a few of those types of goals tonight, and they now have an 11-2 lead. Again, looking at the remainder of the Chaska schedule, just 3 more games after tonight in the regular season, and all 3 of them will be on the road. In fact, this is it for Chaska home games, unless they have any section playoff games here at Chaska High School. Hawks' next game is Thursday on the road at Chanhassen. Then next Monday they'll play at Holy Family. Then a week from Friday they have a matchup on the road at Delano Rockford. Kennedy also with 3 games left on the season. All 3 will be played at Bloomington Stadium. They'll be hosting Robbinsdale Cooper tomorrow, the Minneapolis Co-op next Tuesday, then a week from Friday. Always a fun matchup for the Eagles as they'll be taking on their crosstown rivals Bloomington Jefferson. Kennedy Sanders finds Sydney Hardy. Sent up ahead but overshot intended target. Fighting to keep it in bounds was Willifrost Trahan. Unable to do so, and now it's Chaska with some space. Pass was broken up. Now the Eagles momentarily will get possession of the ball. Taken over by Chaska with 15:40. And Hout Cooper trying to work her way through 5 Chaska players, still is able to maintain control of the ball at least momentarily. Kept in bounds by Caisson Carlson. Good hustle play there. Unfortunately for her, I think they're going to say it was out of bounds, so that's going to allow Chaska to take over. Here's Sanders with speed. Sanders now around a couple more Chaska Kennedy players, and she'll fling a shot wide. Should still be Chaska ball. Jose to Sanders. Back to Jose as they play catch. Jose to the front, got denied by Frost Trahan. Eagles still able to get it back. Here's Aiden Holly. Holly finds Sanders out in front, but before Sanders can do anything with it, we'll get a whistle on the play. A free run for Chaska. Sanders lost it, picked it back up, but we get another whistle. In fact, I think they're just going to have her redo it. She'll take a shot and score. Making it look easy there is Kennedy Sanders. And that'll give Chaska their largest lead of the game at 12-2. Give you another look at it. Anytime you put a player like Sanders in that type of position where she gets a free run at the net, generally not going to be good for the opposition. Looks like we now are going to have running time for what probably will be the rest of the way with that 10-goal deficit. Typically that clock stops on goals, but now we see it running as we do have those running time rules put in place. So expect the next 12 minutes to go by quickly. Sanders being bothered by Frost Trahan. Sanders will retreat behind her net near those football field goal goalposts. Sanders surveys the field, gives it up to Pluth, now back to Sanders. Little game of catch between those two. They'll look for an opening. That pass bobbled by Peyton Wirtz. Gives it back to Sanders. Chaska slowing things down offensively. A new player on the field as we see Cassie Clay. First time we've called her name for Chaska. Just an 8th grade attacker. And this is Clay behind the net. Finds Wirtz. Hawks looking to pick their spot offensively on when they want to try to throw one in front of the net. See if they can find a teammate open. Clock continues to tick as the Hawks are content just to run as much clock as they can. Not really a lot of defensive pressure being put on by Bloomington Kennedy. It was a good start for the Eagles as they at one point did have this game tied up at 2. Came out with a lot of energy. But unfortunately for them, just a little bit too much skill from this Chaska Hawks squad that's in the midst of a 6-game winning streak as Hawks have now pulled ahead with a 12-2 lead. Peyton Wirtz able to find Reagan Pluth. And the patience pays off as eventually Kennedy Sanders comes streaking towards the front of the net. Good find to her, and that will give the Hawks now a 14-2 lead. Actually make that a 13-2 lead. As I mentioned, Chaska does play in a very difficult section. At least according to the QRF standings, they are in 5th place of the 12 teams in Section 2, which would put them in position to get a playoff home game, but by no means is a guarantee. But there are a lot of tough squads in Section 2, including Chanhassen, Minnetonka, Eden Prairie. And how about Hutchinson, undefeated this season with a 10-0 record? Normally you see those West Metro teams really dominate in lacrosse. But Hutchinson having a good season, so that should be an entertaining Section 2 tournament once that takes place over the next few weeks. Sanders to Pluth. Trying to dig for it where the Hawks behind their own net. Just entering the game was Lily Thomas, number 40, that you see in the middle of the screen right now. She is just a sophomore attacker. Here comes Bloomington Kennedy trying to see if they can score a few more goals here in the remaining minutes. Munson fired a shot and it was saved by Megan Jurley. That's about the first action Jurley has seen in the past, probably 8 to 10 minutes or so. Good job by her to stay on our feet and stay sharp. Sanders towards the front. Yeah, it looks like Sanders is more in assist mode right now. Probably could have fired that shot fairly easily, but showing some good unselfishness. Cassie Clay will just pass it over to a Kennedy player as it was an infraction against Chaska, so it'll be Eagles ball. Now it's to Kanzamias, and they're still able to work their way ahead. Here is Munson to the left side. Nelson met by Van Epps, who will force her to retreat behind the net. Pressure being put on by Sydney Hardy. Now Chaska towards the front, a spin play as Van Epps goes tumbling to the floor. Well, I guess it's not basketball, tumbling on the field. And now Van Epps, the senior defender, passes it up ahead to Kendall Mint. There's Thomas spinning around Munoz, the Kennedy defender, to Cassie Clay. Clay juggled it for a moment and sent a Kennedy player to the crashing to the ground, Caisson Carlson. After that shot goes wide, it will be Ella Lorentz controlling play for Chaska. Passes to Pluth. Now to Clay. Clay tried the wraparound, hit the goalpost. Creative offensive play by Chaska, and we'll get another whistle. Kendall Mint. Finds her teammate on the near side, Reagan Pluth. Pluth around a couple of Kennedy defenders. Will now work her way behind the net with 4:17 to go in the second half. Chaska well on their way to winning their 7th consecutive game as they are playing their best lacrosse of the season. Hawks started the season losing 2 out of their first 3 games, but since then won 6 in a row and looks like they'll get number 7 tonight. Turned over after that attempted pass to the front of the net. Just swarming Caisson Carlson were about 5 Chaska players. They do not make it easy to exit your own zone if you're an opponent. Munson takes a couple of shoves from some Chaska players. She'll keep the ball in her possession, though. Now Munson will take a few steps back and retreat. Hawks trying to pick up that loose ball. It'll be picked up instead by Arsenault. .241 to go. Munson to the front finds Caisson Carlson. So those two who have been the big weapons for Kennedy offensively come through with a goal at the 2:27 mark of the second half. Giving them something to feel good about here in the waning minutes of the contest. I think we should have a replay of that goal available. Good communication between those two as you saw Carlson make a move towards the front of the net. Wasn't picked up by any Chaska defender and make it a 13-3 game. There's Wirtz with a loose ball in front. Cassie Clay being pressured by a couple of Bloomington Kennedy players. And now it'll be picked up by Maya Ortiz. Ortiz lost it. She tried to scoop it up ahead, but the ball will roll out of bounds, and it looks like it will be turned over to Chaska. Megan Pluth ahead to Lily Thomas. Thomas passes to Sydney Hardy. Hardy now on the near side will retreat into what would be the end zone for football. So Hardy getting a chance to play a little offense after she spent most of the game back on defense. Passes to Lily Thomas. Thomas observing her options will give it up to Ella Lawrence. Now Kaylee Van Epps also getting a chance to play a little offense. And that'll wrap up the game as Van Epps will keep the ball on her stick as time runs out, as Chaska knocks off Bloomington Kennedy by a score of 13-3 as they now win their 7th straight game. Good job by Chaska to keep that winning streak alive here during the final few weeks of the regular season. Chaska's next game is on the road at Chanhassen. That will be Thursday at 7 o'clock. Hopefully they're able to play that game, as again, rain is in the forecast. Meanwhile, for Bloomington Kennedy, their next game is tomorrow at home, 6 o'clock against Robbinsdale Cooper. Thanks everyone for watching tonight's broadcast of Chaska Girls Lacrosse on the Chaska Hawks Broadcast Network. Final score one more time.